All right, next we have a presentation of our investment report. The quarter ended December 31st, so we have Spencer.
Good evening, Mayor Didball and members of the council. I do have the Treasurer's quarterly report for the period ending December 31st. The portfolio market value as of that date was $105.4 million. And of that, $99.4 million was of city-held bonds. The remainder were trustee-held bonds. City-held investments, and the rest were trustee-held bonds. $6.1 million net increase from last quarter, and of the notable transactions, police solar improvement bond proceeds were received. The solar photovoltaic project payment of $3 million was made for the South Plant. Tax receipts of $3.4 million, $9 million payroll, and quite a bit of flood control activity. $22 million going out and about $31.1 coming in. There were 8 investments that matured, 14 matured or were sold, 14 were purchased. The average yield sold was 1.26%, and the average yield purchased was 2.01%. So as we're continuing to climb with our yield.
Through the mayor.
Oh.
Just so I could have him go back and clarify very, very quickly.
Yes.
On the $105.4 million,
yes.
That looks like a big chunk of money. Could you break that down into what is being held for outside, as in Sabufka and other, roughly?
It's going to be difficult, but I'll give it a shot. I would say that almost 30% of that is going to be from outside the city's operations. So we do the accounting for other agencies like Net 5, Sutter Butte Flood Control Agency, Sutter Animal Services Authority, and so LAFCO as well, just recently. Mm-hmm. And so we do have keep that cash in our pooled account, but through the accounting process, we're able to keep it all separate from the city's money.
And thank you, Mayor, for allowing me to ask that question, because I think it's important for the citizens to understand that Yuba City is not sitting on a pile of cash of $105.4 million. That 30% of that is being held for other or various other operations within our community. The most important, not just our operation of the city, but also the Sutter Butte Flood Control Agency, which is Sutter and Butte counties. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate that clarification. That's a great point.
How we wish we were sitting on that.
Yeah.
Sure. The composition of the city-held portion of those funds is mostly in bonds. About 16% is agency bonds like Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and so forth. U.S. Treasuries made up 12%. Muni and state bonds make up about 3%. Corporate bonds 15%. And certificates of deposits about 6%. LAIF, Local Agency Investment Fund, and cash and other cash-like investments make up about 48% of the non-bonds. And the reason that we're holding so much in cash is we are all that activity with the construction of with the Flood Control Agency has demanded that we keep a lot more cash liquid rather than investing it. The portfolio maturity distribution reflects a conservative portfolio. It favors anticipated slight increases in interest rates and modest economic growth in the coming quarters, as well as large construction-related cash flows, like I just mentioned, mostly from the flood control project. And as we really get going on the 5th Street Bridge, when the construction really ramps up fully, we'll see a lot of cash fluctuation there as well. I did include one additional slide this evening that just shows how the rate hikes that the Federal Reserve has implemented over the last year has affected the yield. It's kind of interesting to see that from December 31st, 2016 to December 31st, 2017, with the 3 rate hikes that we had, how you can see that the yield is continuing to climb. I don't have my pointer, but toward the right side of the graph. And the asset management company, PFM, that we utilize for the consulting on investments, they're our investment advisor. They are anticipating 4 rate hikes in the current calendar year. So it remains to be seen if that comes to fruition or not. But as we continue with the rate hikes, as the Fed keeps moving rates higher and higher, then the confident investors will move to more risky investments like stocks, for instance. And so the Fed yield will increase to try to pull more, the Fed will try to pull more people into their bonds, to buy their bonds. And so we'll just continue, we expect to continue to see a climb in yield rates for treasuries, which would be reflected by the rest of the bond market as well. And with that, I just want to know if you have any questions.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Spencer? No? Thank you.
My pleasure.